Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Mess. So today we're going to continue series, the Unported Playlist, where I take some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time, and today we're playing Cyber Commando, released in 1994 on the Namco System 22 board. This is as close as Namco would ever get to completely making a virtual-on game a la Sega Further hardware. It is a twin-stick shooter where you control these futuristic tanks in combat battle. It's fun, it's awesome, it's a pretty game to look at. It takes a little bit to learn the controls. Once you get used to them, you'll totally understand what's going on and love the game. And before we get too far involved, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And while we come out of this wall like the Kool-Aid man blasting through drywall, do me a huge favor, there's also a Patreon link down below if you feel so inclined. This game is incredibly easy to understand what you need to do. You need to destroy the enemy tank before they destroy you. This is a twin stick shooter, which means you're going to have two different analog sticks that are going to control your tank in a full 3D space. I can guarantee you the first time you sit down to play this game, you are going to be driving in circles and have absolutely no idea how to actually progress. It takes a little bit of mental capacity to understand what you're doing, and it even takes me a second here to get up to speed doing it. I am playing on an Xbox Series X controller using the left and right analog stick to pilot this tank. In arcade, you would have had a twin flight stick in front of you, but once you actually understand how to move the tank, it becomes second nature. It is just one of those things you do need to give it some time. And as far as the gameplay hook of this game is concerned, again, incredibly easy to understand. Every level you're going to have to destroy 3 tanks until you get to boss battles, and you'll be able to pick up more artillery, your missiles, as well as your chain gun as you go along, because all those red floating things in the environment are ammo. You will run out, and ammo management is going to be huge in this game. You have your radar heads-up display up top, and that tells you where the tank is. But where the fun in this game comes in is just trying to navigate around, picking up those corners, and trying to get to your opponent and attack them before they attack you. And I will tell you right now, even on the easiest difficulty, after you get past the first round, this game pulls absolutely no punches, and you're going to have to play basically perfect to see the credits scroll. So much so that in the back half of this capture, I'm going to use a cheat code to have infinite energy, so I didn't have to play the game for 3 hours just to show it to you. But this was just classic Namco System 22 back in the day. We had incredible 3D graphics, you have perspective correct textures as well as polygons. This is just leaps and bounds beyond anything that any home console could do in the 90s. PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn wouldn't get anywhere near this, and honestly even Nintendo 64 I think is not as good looking as something like Namco System 22. And that's just because this hardware was an absolute expensive beast. But you'll see here you do have a lock-on mechanic. You can sometimes lock onto your opponent when that green box comes up. But so much of what this game is the cat and mouse chase around this actual course. You need to hide yourself, you need to make yourself narrow so that you do not get hit broadside by your opponent while you try to figure out how to attack them. It is, like I said, an easy game to understand, but until you understand the controls, you are going to see death after death after death. But that's where the fun is. It's quick to play, and you get better at it, and you learn as you go along. But I will say, once you get to the second level, this is the real steep learning curve roadblock for pretty much everybody. I asked a few other people that played this game recently how they fared once they got to World 2, and I basically got the exact same answer. This game becomes so much more incredibly difficult once you get here, and that is because this game is not very long, and in arcades it was meant to make money, so it gave you a little bit of a taste of the first level, gave you a relatively easy time at beating it, and then once you got to level 2, Namco and the arcade operators 100% wanted to make their investment back. And you'll see here as I kind of strafe around, the one thing you do not want to do is let your opponent flank you. When they're behind you and you have to try to navigate around to just get them into your sight, you are as good as a sitting duck, and you're going to end up dead like I just did here. I got shot from off screen, and that's because I allowed my enemy to flank me. That is certain death in this game. So learning how to move around the course, the safe spots and the dangerous spots are going to be huge. And of course it's a Namco game, so you know it's going to have a fun soundtrack as well. So go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds, and I'll come back and tell you more about the history of the hardware and the game and why I love it. But enjoy.
Target identified. Attack.
It's a fun soundtrack and totally works in the futuristic vibe of the game, but you will see here again, I took a few more deaths, and now at this point in time is when I'm going to start using MAME cheat codes to give myself infinite energy, because try as I might, trying to get past the last opponent in this stage, I would pretty much always almost either get killed very quickly or run out of time, because it's not just that you need to defeat all the opponents before they kill you, you're also on a timer, and because you run out of life as well as weapons, you definitely need to be a little bit scarce to make sure you don't just get destroyed. But unfortunately, you're also chasing that timer in the bottom right hand corner, so you need to play aggressive enough to do damage, but not so aggressive that you put yourself in harm's way. So even if I could succeed on one front, it was very difficult on the other. And you'll see here we moved on to another tank. There's different tanks in the game. Some of them are going to have more shields, some of them are going to have faster movement, some of them are going to have stronger weapons. You kind of get to decide what works for you and run with it. Just be aware that when you do continue, this game gives you no option to switch out the tanks. So you need to figure out which one you like and run the entire game with it, because it's not like a fighting game where you can switch your character midstream. But again, it's just so much fun to see a game like this. This was so inventive, and the control scheme was definitely nothing that we had at home. Sure, you could have a flight stick here and there, but dual twin sticks was not something you would normally see at home. This would be an arcade exclusive sort of thing until Sega brought the virtual on twin sticks home to the Sega Saturn. Unless there was another twin stick before that, I don't remember. Leave me a comment down below if I am forgetting something, because you guys do tell me stuff all the time. You'll see I was finally able to get past this level, and now we move on to more of the larger big boss arenas. And I love that we talk about the structure of Uranus as well as the ring of Uranus. There is a lot of Uranus in this game, and I hope you like it. All jokes aside, it is kind of funny some of the terms they use in these little interstitial titles. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but it always kind of makes me laugh, and my sense of humor, which apparently stopped working at 14 even though I got older. And you'll see here now the enemy tanks are just absolutely massive. These will 100% crush you in like 3 seconds. And this is where, if you're not using cheat codes, the game becomes even that much more difficult. Being able to actually beat this game should give you a sense of accomplishment, because if I was actually taking damage, I would have been dead within like 2 seconds. This tank and its rapid fire just 100% broadside you and will tear you up if you're not careful. This would be like trying to run across a field with 10 chain guns shooting at you. You would not make it 2 steps before you were felled. But of course, I even ran out of time even with the cheat code on, and that is just because these tanks move so quickly and hide so much. Trying to hunt for ammo can take up a bunch of time. But one more taste of the soundtrack just for 25 seconds, because I do love it in this area, and I'll be right back.
Your announcement is falling at an increasing rate. Understand? The pressure forces are increasing in number.
The soundtrack as well as the narrator there just have that futuristic vibe, and it totally matches up with the game. But I will tell you right now, this opponent I just could not get past today, even with cheat codes on, because you run out of ammo so quickly, and this will just totally stun lock you. This is when the game gets very difficult. This one opponent here, this boss, can just get you in a stun lock and basically stagger you, wasting all of your time. Obviously, if we had the life bar turned on, that would mean we would die almost instantaneously, and that is the one strike against Cyber Commandos. The difficulty, even on easy, is just too incredibly high. This is not the type of game that you're going to be able to sit down and be able to beat in 10 or 15 minutes, because you cannot continue when your life bar runs out. You need to restart the level. You could spend 2, maybe 3 hours trying to perfect this and try to see the credits. And if you're in an arcade, that would definitely cost you a lot of money. You would probably walk away long before that happened. So I do love this game. I do need to ding it a little bit for the difficulty, which is absurd in my opinion. This almost feels like fighting a bullet hell shmup boss here, except in full 3D. But for what this game lacks in the ability to actually beat it, more than makes up for it in the visual presentation and just being a unique game, and another awesome System 22 game that just looks absolutely spectacular in motion. The textures, all of the graphics, the polygons, everything about this just screams 1995 and about as good a 3D as you could get. But short of that, definitely check the game out. Just be prepared to die. We're done here, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.